Good morning, everyone. Today we'll discuss about the topic of cerebrum. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. It allows to think, make decisions, and imagine. It contains about 10 millions of neurons and its weight about 1400 gram. Okay, so cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. So out of the 4 different parts of the brain, the cerebrum is the largest one. So you are knowing the different parts of the brain. What are these 4 parts? So first one, that is the cerebrum. Second is the cerebellum. Third is the diencephalon, and fourth is the brainstem. So out of all these 4 parts, the cerebrum is the largest one. So when one will imagine the brain, one cannot imagine the brain without the cerebrum, as the cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. It contains about 10 millions of neurons and its weight is about 1400 gram. The cerebral cortex is folded into numerous gyri or convolutions separated by the sulci. So this type of arrangement is called as gyrencephalic arrangement. In lower animals, one can find out the brain with the smoother surface. So such a brain is called as lissencephalic brain. But in human beings, the brain is highly convoluted. Its surface area is about 2000 centimeter, and that's why it is folded into numerous folds or convolutions. So there are these infoldings and outfoldings. So these deepenings, these are called as sulci, and what are the outfoldings? These are called as gyri. Okay, so the characteristic of the human brain is that it shows the presence of the sulci and gyri, and such arrangement is called as gyrencephalic arrangement or the gyrencephalic brain. The brain is situated in the cranial cavity. So the outer surface of the brain, the superior surface of the brain, it is accommodated into this concave cranial vault, which is smoother, and the inferiorly it is accommodated into this rough cranial foci. So here this is the superior surface, it is smoother one, it is accommodated into this uniform cranial vault, and inferiorly here there are the different cranial foci. So here the anterior, middle and inferior, posterior cranial foci, anterior, middle and posterior cranial foci are there. So here in the anterior cranial fossa and posterior cranial fossa, there is the presence of the cerebrum. But in the posterior aspect, the posterior cranial fossa, which is a deeper one, it shows the presence of the cerebellum in the lower part, and in the upper part there is the presence of the occipital lobe of the cerebrum, the posterior part of the cerebrum. So posterior part of the cerebrum, it is situated in the upper part above the cerebellum, which is separated by the cerebellum by this tentorium cerebellar. Okay, so this is the arrangement of the cerebrum within the cranial cavity. The cerebrum, one can view from the superior aspect, it looks like ovoid in shape. When we divide the cerebrum into the half by the median longitudinal fissure here, there are the 2 halves of the cerebrum which are called as the cerebral hemisphere. Each half of the cerebral cerebrum is called as cerebral hemisphere, which are partially separated from each other by this median longitudinal cleft, or called as the longitudinal cerebral fissure. Okay, so when we take the section from this part, one can view it like this. So here this is the medial surface of the cerebrum. So here this is the cerebral hemisphere, which is connected with the opposite side by this comma shaped structure called as the corpus callosum. Okay, so this corpus callosum, it connects the cerebral hemisphere of the opposite side. So above the corpus callosum, in front of the corpus callosum and behind the corpus callosum, this cerebrum is separated from each other. cerebral hemispheres are separated from each other, and here there is the presence of a fold of the dura mater called as falx cerebri. Now when we take the coronal section passing through the cerebrum, it looks like this. So here this outer surface, it shows the highly convoluted structure, that is the sulci and gyri present there. So this cerebral cortex. On the peripheral aspect, it shows the grey matter, and the inner aspect present there is the white matter. Okay, so here this arrangement is exactly opposite of that of the spinal cord. The peripheral aspect present here, that is the grey matter, and the central core, it is formed by the white matter. So this is the largest portion of the white matter connecting with each other. This is the corpus callosum. Okay, so this is the arrangement present there. Outer aspect grey matter, and inner aspect there is the white matter. The cavity of the cerebrum, this is the cavity of the cerebrum, that is called as the lateral ventricle. Deeply situated here within the cerebrum, there are again the basal ganglia. Okay, now we'll discuss about the external features of the cerebral hemispheres. Each cerebral hemisphere, it has the three borders, three surfaces, and three poles. So we'll discuss one by one. So here first we'll discuss about the poles of the cerebrum. Poles are nothing but the ends of the cerebrum. So here this is the first pole present there, that is called as the frontal pole of the cerebrum. This is the temporal pole of the cerebrum, and this one is the occipital pole of the cerebrum. Okay, so here in this picture we'll identify the different poles. So here in this picture one can find out the frontal pole and the occipital pole. Here this is the presence of the frontal pole, and here is the presence of the occipital pole. So we'll see that here where is this frontal pole exactly situated. So frontal pole is exactly situated behind the glabella. So this point present here, it is called as the glabella. Glabella is the median point of the superciliary arches. Okay, so just behind this glabella here, there is the frontal sinus, and behind that there is the presence of the frontal pole. Here is the presence of the occipital pole. Here this is the occipital pole. Occipital pole is situated just inside of that of the external occipital protuberance. Okay, so here this is the most prominent point present of the occipital aspect is the external occipital protuberance. Inside that, opposite to that, there is the internal occipital protuberance. Okay, so here this is the internal occipital protuberance, that is also called as the confluence of sinuses. Below that, here there is the presence of the cerebellum. At this site, this bluish dural fold is there, that is the tentorium cerebelli, and above that here, this is the occipital pole of the cerebrum. Okay, so just on either side of the median plane, above this internal occipital protuberance, there are the presence of this occipital poles of the cerebrum. Okay, now we'll see about here, this is the temporal pole, where it is situated. Here we'll see this another diagram in which temporal pole is seen. So here this is the temporal pole, this is the temporal pole. So temporal pole is situated here in the middle cranial fossa. Okay, so here this is the anterior aspect of the temporal pole, which is overlies by the lesser wing of the sphenoid. Okay, so we have seen here the three poles of the cerebrum. Now we'll discuss about the three surfaces of the cerebrum. Here the surfaces are the superolateral surface, medial surface, and the inferior surface. Okay, so here this is the coronal section passing through the cerebrum, and it is showing here these three surfaces. Here this is the large extensive surface seen here, that is the superolateral surface. This surface seen here, this is the medial surface of the cerebrum, and this one is the inferior surface of the cerebrum. Okay, so we'll see actually how these surfaces looks like. So here this is the superolateral surface of the cerebrum. This is the medial surface of the cerebrum, and this one is the inferior surface of the cerebrum. Okay. Now we'll discuss about the borders of the cerebrum. There are the three borders. The first one is the superomedial border, second is the inferolateral border, and third is the inferomedial border. Okay, again here in the coronal section we'll see these three borders. So here this is the first border present here, that is the superomedial border. It is present superiorly and medially. This is the inferolateral border, and this one is the inferomedial border. Okay, so these are the three borders of the cerebrum. The superomedial border placed superiorly and medially. Then in the lower part here there are the two borders. This is the inferolateral border and this one is the inferomedial border. Okay, so we'll see actually here how these borders are extended here in the different surfaces, in the superolateral surface, medial surface and the inferior surface. So here is the superolateral surface. In that here, this one is the superomedial border. The superomedial border starts here from the frontal pole and it ends here up to the occipital pole from the superomedial aspect. Okay, so this is the superomedial border. This one is the inferomedial border. The inferomedial border, it also starts here at the frontal pole. Then from the temporal pole, it goes here towards the occipital pole. Okay, so on the superolateral surface, we can find out only these two borders. Here this is the superomedial border and this one is the inferolateral border. This is the medial surface. In the medial surface, how these borders look like, that we'll see here. So this is the superomedial border, again from the frontal pole up to the occipital pole. This is the inferolateral border from that of the frontal pole up to the temporal pole, and from the temporal pole up to the occipital pole, that is the inferolateral border. And this is the third border seen here on the medial surface, that is the inferomedial border. Inferomedial border, it is on the medial aspect. It is also following the same route here, that is from the frontal pole up to the temporal pole. Then here it is little bit curved one and it is going here to the occipital pole again. Okay, so on the medial surface one can find out all these three borders. This is the superomedial border, this green one, that is the inferolateral border, and this yellow one, that is the inferomedial border. Now we'll see these borders on the inferior surface. So here these are the two borders, this green one, that is the inferolateral border, and this yellow one, that is the inferomedial border. They are starting from the frontal pole and ending to the occipital pole, from the one from the lateral aspect and one from the medial aspect. Okay, so we have seen here these three borders. The superolateral surface shows only two borders. The inferior surface, it also only shows two borders, but on the medial surface one can find out here all these three borders. From the medial view one can find out all these three borders. Okay, now this inferomedial border present there, it is further divided into the medial orbital border and the medial occipital border. Okay, so here this portion present here, this anterior part present here, this is the medial orbital border. This posterior part, it is the medial occipital border. Here also one can see that here this is the medial orbital border and this is medial occipital border. This inferolateral border, this green border present here, inferolateral border, its anterior part present here, it is called as superciliary border. This border present here, that is the superciliary border, as it overlies the superciliary arches. It is on the outer aspect here, there are the presence of the superciliary arches. So superciliary arches, inside here there is the presence of the superciliary border of this cerebrum. Okay, so three basic borders are there: the superomedial border, inferolateral border and inferomedial border. This inferomedial border, it is further divided into this medial orbital border and the medial occipital border. medial orbital border and medial occipital border, and inferomedial border, its anterior part, its orbital part, it is called as the superciliary border. Okay, so we have seen these three borders, three surfaces and three poles. We'll see these three borders, surfaces and poles in the different surfaces here. So in the superolateral surface here, this is the frontal pole, this is the temporal pole, and this is the occipital pole. Here this is the superomedial border, this is the inferolateral border. The inferolateral border, its anterior part, it is called as the superciliary border. This is the medial surface. On the medial surface here, this is the frontal pole, this is the temporal pole, and this is the occipital pole. Here this is the superomedial border, this is the inferomedial border. Here this is the medial orbital border, and this border is called as the medial occipital border. This is the inferolateral border. The inferolateral border, its anterior part here, this part, it is called as the superciliary border. This is the inferior surface. The inferior surface has these three poles. This is the frontal pole, this is the temporal pole, and here is the occipital pole. Here this is the inferolateral border, and here this is the inferomedial border. The inferomedial border, it is divided into the medial orbital border and medial occipital border. Here this inferolateral border, its anterior part, it is called as the superciliary border. Okay, so we'll see here the surfaces one by one here. So first we'll discuss about here the lobes of the cerebrum, then after that we'll discuss about the sulci and gyri on each of the surface of the cerebrum. So first we'll discuss about the lobes of the cerebrum on the superolateral surface. So the superolateral surface, it shows the presence of these four lobes. This is the frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and the occipital lobe. Okay, so here in the picture, this is the pinkish one little bit. This is the frontal lobe, it is present anteriorly. This is the purple one, that is the parietal lobe in the middle and the upper aspect. In the lower aspect here at the temporal pole here, besides the temporal pole here, there is the temporal lobe, and this one bluish, that is the occipital pole, occipital lobe posteriorly adjoining to the occipital pole. Okay, so here these are the four poles present there: frontal pole, parietal pole, temporal pole, and occipital pole. So roughly all these lobes present there, these are overlapped by, or these are adjoining to the bones, the frontal bone, parietal bone, temporal bone, and the occipital bone. But we want to know exactly how these lobes are divided. So we'll see this picture present here, how these lobes of the cerebrum, these are divided present there. Okay, so these lobes of the cerebrum, these are divided into these four lobes by the three different prominent sulci present there and three imaginary lines. Okay, so here these three prominent sulci present there. The first one, that is the central sulcus. Okay, so this is the central sulcus. The central sulcus, it is present exactly in the center of the cerebrum on the superolateral aspect. This is the lateral sulcus. It is present on the lateral aspect. It is a prominent sulcus that one can find out over there. So this one is the central sulcus, and this is the lateral sulcus. So we can find out here this central sulcus and lateral sulcus very easily, that the central sulcus, it is present at the center of the cerebrum on the superolateral aspect. Okay, so here this is the superomedial border. So at the superomedial border, just behind the midpoint of the superomedial border, there is the beginning of the central sulcus. The central sulcus, it runs downwards, forwards, and it ends here above the lateral sulcus. The lateral sulcus, it is also very prominent. One can find out here very easily this lateral sulcus. This is actually the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. So this is the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. It is running behind over here Okay, so these two sulci, these are the main sulci that one can find out here very easily on the superolateral surface. So these two sulci along with these small sulcus seen here, that is called as the parieto-occipital sulcus. So this is also a very prominent sulcus, but this is the larger part of this sulcus is seen on the medial surface, and only a small upper part it cuts the superomedial border. Okay, so these three sulci along with the three imaginary lines divides the cerebrum into 4 different lobes. Okay, now we'll discuss about the imaginary lines present there. So this is the point present there, that is called as the preoccipital notch. Okay, this is the preoccipital notch, that is a notch present there, nick present there just in front of the occipital pole, 5 centimeter in front of the occipital pole. There is a notch present there, that is called as the preoccipital notch. Okay, so this is an important landmark present there, which also helpful for dividing this cerebrum into different lobes. Okay, so this is the imaginary line that is extending the central sulcus downwards up to the lateral sulcus. This is the second imaginary line present there. It is drawn from this preoccipital notch up to the parieto-occipital sulcus. This is the preoccipital notch, this is the parieto-occipital sulcus, this is the line present there, this is the imaginary line joining this preoccipital notch up to the parieto-occipital sulcus. The third imaginary line present there, it is the extension of that of the posterior end of the posterior continuation of the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. Okay, so these are the 3 imaginary line. Okay, so these 3 sulci present there, this is the central sulcus, this is the lateral sulcus, and this is the parieto-occipital sulcus. This is the notch present here, that is the preoccipital notch. So here these 3 sulci, these are adjoining together by these 3 imaginary lines. So first imaginary line here, it is joining the central sulcus downwards to the lateral sulcus. This is the second imaginary line, it is the extension of this lateral sulcus further backward up to the imaginary line joining the parieto-occipital sulcus up to the preoccipital notch. So that here the cerebrum, it is divided into the 4 different lobes. So here this is the frontal lobe, in front of the central sulcus there is the frontal lobe, behind the central sulcus and that of the imaginary line joining here the parieto-occipital sulcus and the preoccipital notch here, and below the lateral sulcus here, this one is the parietal lobe. Below the lateral sulcus here, this is the temporal lobe, and behind this third imaginary line here, this one along with the occipital pole here, this is the occipital lobe. Frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe and temporal lobe. These are the 4 lobes present there. So here these are the 4 lobes. When we spread this lateral sulcus and see the interior present there. Okay, so here this is the frontal lobe, this is the parietal lobe, this is the temporal lobe, and this is the occipital lobe. Okay, now when we spread this lateral sulcus present there, one can find out here there is a part of the cerebral cortex, and this is the 5th lobe of the cerebrum. That is the lobe, it is hidden from the surface view. This is called as insula. Okay, so this is the 5th lobe present here, the frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, occipital lobe, and this is the insular lobe or the insula. Insula, the word insula, that means hidden. So this portion present here, this insular cortex, it is hidden from the surface view. So when we spread this lateral sulcus, then the deeper part, it shows the presence of the insula. Okay, so these are the lobes of the cerebrum. Now when we see here the medial surface, one can find out these different lobes here. This is the frontal lobe, this is the parietal lobe, this is the occipital lobe, and this is the temporal lobe. These are the different lobes present there. Then the 5th lobe that one can find out over here, this is the brownish structure seen here. This is the limbic lobe. Okay, so this limbic lobe, it is the part of the limbic system, and it is present at the junction of the cerebrum, or that of the telencephalon and diencephalon. Diencephalon, it is surrounded by this limbic lobe, and limbic lobe itself, it is surrounded by the cerebrum. Okay, so limbic lobe, actually it is the part of the limbic system, and you will study this limbic system later on in the separate lecture. Okay, so here these are the 4 lobes present there: the frontal lobe, this is parietal lobe, this is the temporal lobe, and this is the occipital lobe seen on the from the medial view. This is the inferior surface present there. It shows the presence of these lobes. Here this is the frontal lobe, this is the temporal lobe, this is the occipital lobe, and here this is the limbic system, part of the limbic system, that is the limbic lobe seen here. From the inferior surface one cannot view the parietal lobe. Okay, now we have seen here the number of external features of the cerebrum. We have seen the 3 borders, 3 surfaces, then the 3 poles present there. After that we have seen the number of lobes. Now we'll discuss about the sulci and gyri present on the superolateral surface of the cerebrum. So this one is the superolateral surface. This is the superolateral surface present there. The superolateral surface, it is a large convex surface that lies between the superomedial and the inferolateral borders. Okay, so here this is the superomedial border and this is the inferolateral border. So this is the surface, superolateral surface. It is large convex surface here. This is superolateral surface present there. It is in between the superomedial border and the inferolateral border. It is large and convex surface. It comes in contact with the cranial vault. The convexity faces superolaterally. The surface is in relation with the cranial vault. Okay, so this is the superolateral surface. We'll study the sulci and gyri present on the superolateral surface. So few of the main sulci that we have seen here actually while dividing the cerebrum into number of lobes, but we'll see these sulci in detail here. So the first sulcus seen here on the superolateral surface, that is the central sulcus. This is also called as the sulcus of Rolando. This central sulcus, it begins behind the midpoint of the superomedial border. Okay, so it is actually it is 1 centimeter behind the midpoint of the superomedial border. It runs downwards, forwards on the superolateral surface to end just above the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. It ends just behind the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. Okay, so here in the picture we'll see this. This is the central sulcus. Okay, this is the central sulcus. The central sulcus, it starts here 1 centimeter behind the midpoint of the superomedial border. Okay, so here midpoint of the superomedial border, it is from this the frontal pole up to the occipital pole. Here this is the superomedial border. So here is the midpoint of the superomedial border. So 1 centimeter behind here there is the central sulcus, beginning of the central sulcus. This is the sulcus that cuts the superomedial border very prominently. Okay, so this central sulcus, it is cutting here the superomedial border, then it runs downwards, forwards, and it reaches here up to the lateral sulcus. It ends just above the lateral sulcus. It makes an angle of 70 degrees with that of the superomedial border. Okay, so this central sulcus, it is a very prominent sulcus seen here. This central sulcus making an angle of that of the 70 degree, and this central sulcus, it also appears, a small part, it appears on the medial surface. Okay, so here we'll see this picture, the medial surface. So on the medial surface here, this is the presence of the central sulcus. At this point here, the central sulcus, the upper end of the central sulcus, it appears on the medial surface, and it is separated here by the paracentral lobule. this area which is surrounding here the uppermost end seen on the medial surface is called as the paracentral lobule. Okay, so this is the central sulcus, a prominent sulcus seen on the superolateral surface. It separates here this motor area and the sensory area behind. So this sulcus, it is also called as the limiting sulcus. Whatever this motor area and sensory area, that functional areas, on that there will be the separate lecture. Okay, so here we will see that here it is the limiting sulcus, that it is separating here this motor area present anteriorly and the sensory area posteriorly. That's why the limiting sulcus present here. So we have seen this sulcus. Now the another sulcus seen on the superolateral surface, the main sulcus seen here, that is the lateral sulcus. It is also called as the sulcus of Sylvius. The lateral sulcus is easily identifiable of all the cerebral sulci and it has a stem and 3 different rami. Rami are the branches. So here the lateral sulcus, it is easily seen. It is with the stem and with the 3 rami. The stem of the sulcus begins as a deep cleft on the inferior surface of the cerebral hemisphere at the anterior perforated substance and extends laterally between the temporal pole and that of the posterior part of the orbital surface of the hemisphere. Okay, so we'll see this lateral sulcus in the picture. So here this is the superolateral surface. On the superolateral surface here, this is the presence of the lateral sulcus. Now more precisely, this is called as the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. The lateral sulcus, it begins on the inferior surface. Okay, this begins on the inferior surface. This is the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus, and this one is the anterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. This small sulcus seen here running anteriorly towards the frontal pole. Here this is the anterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. It is just 1 centimeter long. It runs anteriorly towards the frontal pole. The second ramus present here, the second branch of this sulcus is the ascending upwards. So it is called as the ascending ramus of the lateral sulcus. Okay, so here we'll see that this is the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus, which is most prominent one. This is a short ramus which is running anteriorly, called as the anterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. This is a short ramus, it is ascending upwards, so it is called as the ascending ramus of the lateral sulcus. Okay, so this point from where this anterior ramus and ascending ramus, these are arising here, and also this posterior ramus going backwards. So here this point is called as Sylvian point. This is the Sylvian point present here. So here on the superolateral surface, we can find out here there is the presence of the Sylvian point, from which the anterior ramus, posterior ramus and ascending ramus are arising. Okay, so we'll see this stem of the lateral sulcus. So stem of the lateral sulcus, it begins on the inferior surface. Okay, so here this is the inferior surface present there. This inferior surface, here at this part, there is the presence of the anterior perforated substance. Here this is the anterior perforated substance. Okay, so from the anterior perforated substance, here there is the starting of this stem of the lateral sulcus. So the stem of the lateral sulcus, it runs just in front of this temporal pole and it runs behind this orbital surface of the cerebrum. So here this is the course of the lateral sulcus. It comes here at this point. So this point is called as the Sylvian point, and from the Sylvian point there are the 3 rami of the lateral sulcus. Okay, I repeat here, this one is the interpeduncular fossa. On either side here there are the presence of the anterior perforated substance. From the anterior perforated substance going laterally, here there is the stem of the lateral sulcus. The stem of the lateral sulcus, it runs laterally, it appears here on the superolateral surface, and this point is called as the Sylvian point. From the Sylvian point there are the 3 rami from the lateral sulcus. Okay, so we'll see again here, this is the Sylvian point. From here, this is the anterior ramus, this is the ascending ramus, this is the ascending ramus, and this one is the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. Okay, now we'll discuss about the sulci and gyri seen on the frontal lobe of the cerebrum, the further sulci and gyri. Okay, so different sulci and gyri on the frontal lobe of the cerebrum that we'll discuss. So this frontal lobe which is present here, the frontal lobe, it is in front of the central sulcus. This is the central sulcus present there, and it is above the anterior part of the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. Okay, so here this is the frontal lobe present there. So we'll discuss about the sulci and gyri on the frontal lobe of the cerebrum. This is central sulcus and lateral sulcus forming the boundary of the frontal lobe. The sulci and gyri on the frontal lobe, it consists of the precentral sulcus which runs parallel to the central sulcus. Between the central sulcus and the precentral sulcus, there is the presence of the precentral gyrus. It is the motor area of the cerebral cortex. Okay, so precentral sulcus and precentral gyrus we'll see here in the picture. So just in front of the central sulcus, running parallel with the central sulcus, there is little bit broken here, this sulcus present here, this is the precentral sulcus. This is the precentral sulcus. The area between this precentral sulcus and that of the central sulcus, it is there, it is called as the precentral gyrus. It is the precentral gyrus. So this is the precentral gyrus. Okay, so we are studying here the sulci and gyri on the frontal lobe, which is bounded posteriorly by the central sulcus and below by the lateral sulcus. The first sulcus seen on the frontal lobe, that is the precentral sulcus. Area behind the precentral sulcus, it is the precentral gyrus. Now the sulci and gyri on the frontal lobe, just anterior to the precentral sulcus. So anterior to the precentral sulcus, there are horizontally running superior and inferior frontal sulci. These sulci separate the superior, middle and the inferior frontal gyri. The inferior frontal gyri is further divided into pars orbitalis, pars triangularis and pars opercularis by the anterior and the ascending rami of the lateral sulcus. Okay, so here in front of the precentral sulcus, these are the two sulci running horizontally. So these are the superior frontal sulcus and this is the inferior frontal sulcus. So because of these two sulci here, this anterior part of the frontal lobe, it is divided into this superior, middle and the inferior frontal gyri. So this is the superior frontal gyrus, this is the middle frontal gyrus and this is the inferior frontal gyrus. This inferior frontal gyrus is further divided into three parts by this anterior ramus and the ascending ramus of the lateral sulcus. This is the anterior ramus of the lateral sulcus and this is the ascending ramus of the lateral sulcus. So the area in front of this anterior ramus of the lateral sulcus, it is called as pars orbitalis. The triangular area between this anterior and the ascending ramus, this is called as the pars triangularis, and the posterior area, it is called as the pars opercularis. Okay, so these are the three areas seen here. This is the pars orbitalis, this is the pars triangularis and this is the pars opercularis. The pars orbitalis is near the orbital surface. The pars triangularis, it is triangular in shape, and this is the pars opercularis. The word opercularis means lid. So this opercularis, it is hiding this insular cortex. That's why its name is the opercularis. Okay, so these are the three areas dividing the inferior frontal gyrus. This is the pars orbitalis, This is the pars triangularis and this is the pars opercularis. Okay, so we have seen all the sulci and gyri seen on the frontal lobe of the cerebrum. So we have completed here the frontal lobe of the cerebrum. Now we'll discuss about the sulci and gyri seen on the parietal lobe of the cerebrum. So this is the parietal lobe of the cerebrum. The parietal lobe is bounded anteriorly by the central sulcus and the short imaginary line joining the central, extending the central sulcus downwards. This is the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. So posterior part of the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus and the imaginary line extending from it forms the lower limit of the parietal lobe, and posteriorly here there is the parieto-occipital sulcus with its imaginary line joining the pre-occipital notch in the upper half forms the limit of the parietal lobe. Okay, so this is the parietal lobe present there. So sulci and gyri seen on the parietal lobe. So first sulcus seen on the parietal lobe, that is the post-central sulcus along with the post-central gyrus. The post-central sulcus runs downwards and forwards a little behind and parallel to the central sulcus. Between the central sulcus and the post-central sulcus, there is the presence of the post-central gyrus, which is somatic sensory area of the cortex. Okay, so we'll see this post-central sulcus and post-central gyrus in the picture. So here running parallel with the central sulcus, running parallel with the central sulcus on the parietal lobe behind the central sulcus here. This is again just like that of the precentral sulcus. This is the irregular sulcus. It is broken but it is parallel with that of the central sulcus is the post-central sulcus. The area between the post-central sulcus and the central sulcus, here this is the post-central gyrus. Okay, so we have seen here the first sulcus and gyrus seen on the parietal lobe. The rest of the area on the parietal lobe, the sulci and gyri, the parietal lobe behind the post-central sulcus is divided into superior and inferior parietal lobules by the intraparietal sulcus, which runs horizontally backwards from the post-central sulcus. Okay, so here this is the post-central sulcus, the area behind here on the parietal lobe, rest of the area of the parietal lobe here, it is divided horizontally by the intraparietal sulcus. This is the intraparietal sulcus. Okay, so this intraparietal sulcus, it divides the rest of the parietal lobe into two lobules. Here this is the superior parietal lobule and this is the inferior parietal lobule. Okay, so we have seen here the parietal lobe. On the parietal lobe there are only these three sulci and gyri seen here, the post-central sulcus and the post-central gyrus, here the intraparietal sulcus, the superior parietal lobule and the inferior parietal lobule. Okay, so we have seen here the sulci and gyri on the parietal lobe. Now we will discuss about the sulci and gyri on the temporal lobe. So this is the temporal lobe. The temporal lobe is bounded above by the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus and the line extending from the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus up to the imaginary line joining the parieto-occipital sulcus with the pre-occipital notch. Okay, so this is the temporal lobe. The sulci and gyri on the temporal lobe. There are the two sulci in the temporal lobe that runs parallel to the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. They are called as the superior and inferior temporal sulci. They divide the temporal lobe into superior, middle and the inferior temporal gyri. Okay, so here on the temporal lobe it is very simple, that running parallel with that of the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. Here this is the first sulcus seen, that is the superior temporal sulcus, and here there is the another sulcus, that is the inferior temporal sulcus. So these are the two sulci present there. These are parallel with each other and parallel with the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. Because of these two sulci, the temporal lobe is divided into the superior temporal gyrus, middle temporal gyrus and the inferior temporal gyrus. superior, middle and the inferior temporal gyri are there. Okay, so this is only about the temporal lobe present there. Then the upturned posterior end of the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus and the posterior end of the superior and the inferior temporal sulci extend into the inferior parietal lobule and divide the inferior parietal lobule into three parts. See that here, all these three sulci which are running parallel, that the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus, superior and inferior temporal sulci, their posterior end, these are surrounded by the arc-like gyri. Okay, so the part that surrounds the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus is called as supramarginal gyrus. The part surrounding the superior temporal sulcus is called as angular gyrus, and the part surrounding the inferior temporal sulcus is called as arcus temporo-occipitalis. Okay, so we'll see here in the picture, then it will be clear what are there, these areas. Okay, so these three sulci present there. This is the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. This is the superior and inferior temporal sulci. These are the posterior upturned ends of these sulci. They are capped by these different gyri, arc-like gyri. This arc-like gyri, they project into the inferior parietal lobule. Okay, so here this is the first arc present here, capping around the posterior end of the lateral sulcus, capping around the posterior end of the lateral sulcus. So this gyrus is called as supramarginal gyrus. This is the supramarginal gyrus. Now this is the arc-like area which is capping around the superior temporal sulcus. This arc-like area capping around the superior temporal sulcus, this is called as angular gyrus. Okay, this is supramarginal gyrus, this is angular gyrus. They are projecting into the inferior parietal lobule. Okay, now this is the third sulcus, that is the inferior temporal sulcus. It is also arching around by this gyrus called as arcus temporo-occipitalis. Okay, so this gyrus, it is partly in the temporal lobe and partly in the occipital lobe, so it is called as arcus temporo-occipitalis. I repeat again here, this is the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. It is upturned and it is surrounded by this gyrus called as supramarginal gyrus. This supramarginal gyrus, it is projected into the inferior parietal lobule. This is the superior temporal sulcus, the posterior end of the superior temporal sulcus. It is capped around by this arc-like gyrus called as the angular gyrus. Okay, so these two gyri, these are present in the inferior parietal lobule. This is the inferior temporal gyrus, inferior temporal sulcus. It is capped around, its posterior end is capped around by this gyrus which is called as arcus temporo-occipitalis. Okay, partly this gyrus is in the temporal lobe and partly is in the occipital lobe. Okay, so we have seen here these sulci and gyri on the temporal lobe. I will discuss about the sulci and gyri seen on the occipital lobe. Okay, so this is the occipital lobe. Occipital lobe is present on the posterior aspect, adjoining to the occipital pole. It is limited anteriorly by this parieto-occipital sulcus and the imaginary line joining the parieto-occipital sulcus to the pre-occipital notch. So area behind here, this is the occipital lobe. Sulci and gyri seen on the occipital lobe. The first sulcus seen there, that is the lateral occipital sulcus. Okay, so there is the presence of the lateral occipital sulcus. It runs horizontally and divides the occipital lobe into the superior and inferior occipital gyri. Second sulcus seen here, that is the lunate sulcus. Lunate sulcus is the C-shaped sulcus. It has the forward convexity just in front of the occipital pole. The vertical strip just in front of the lunate sulcus is called as gyrus descendens. Then the transverse occipital sulcus, it runs downwards into the uppermost part of the occipital lobe from the superomedial border of the hemisphere. a little behind the parieto-occipital sulcus. Then lastly, there is the upturned end of the parieto-occipital sulcus that is surrounded by the arcus parieto-occipitalis. Okay, so we have to see here these four structures present there. That is the lateral occipital sulcus, lunate sulcus with gyrus descendens, then the transverse occipital sulcus, the parieto-occipital sulcus with the arcus parieto-occipitalis. Okay. So we will see here in the picture here regarding this occipital lobe. Okay, so here this is the first sulcus, that is called as the lateral occipital sulcus. Okay, so this lateral occipital sulcus, it divides the occipital lobe into the superior occipital lobule and inferior occipital lobule. Okay, so lateral occipital sulcus dividing here into the superior and the inferior occipital lobule. Now the next sulcus seen here, that is a C-shaped sulcus. Here this is the C-shaped sulcus. This C-shaped sulcus present there. Just in front of the C-shaped sulcus here there is the gyrus descendens. There is a longitudinally descending gyrus present there called as gyrus descendens. Now this sulcus present there, sometimes it is capping around here this small part of the sulcus present there, that is the calcarine sulcus. The calcarine sulcus, it is the large sulcus seen on the medial surface. Its end may appear here, may extend here onto the superolateral surface, which is capped by this C-shaped lunate sulcus. I repeat here, this is the lateral sulcus, lateral occipital sulcus, which divides the occipital lobe into the superior occipital lobule and inferior occipital lobule. Just in front of this occipital pole, there is the C-shaped sulcus present there, that is called as lunate sulcus. In front of the lunate sulcus, there is the longitudinally running sulcus called as gyrus descendens. Okay. The next sulcus seen here, that is the transverse occipital sulcus. This is the transverse occipital sulcus. Transverse occipital sulcus, it is the first sulcus seen here just below the superomedial border. Just after the superomedial border, the first sulcus seen here, that is the transverse occipital sulcus. The transverse occipital sulcus, it is just behind the end of the parieto-occipital sulcus. Here, this is the parieto-occipital sulcus. The another sulcus, it is this sulcus is mainly seen, the major part is seen in the medial surface, and its upper end is extending here onto the superolateral surface. So here this end, just behind this lower end of this parieto-occipital sulcus here, there on the superolateral surface, there is the transverse occipital sulcus. Okay. Now, the arc-like gyrus which is surrounding here the parieto-occipital sulcus. Here, this is the arc-like gyrus surrounding the end of the parieto-occipital sulcus. It is called as arcus parieto-occipitalis. Arcus parieto-occipitalis. This gyrus is partly in the superior parietal lobule and in the superior occipital lobule. It is surrounding the upper end of the parieto-occipital sulcus. Okay, so these are the sulci and gyri seen on the occipital lobe. Okay, now we'll discuss about the sulci and gyri seen on the insula. Insula, it is also called as the central lobe. This is the insula present there. It is a hidden portion. It is the less grown area of the cerebrum, and on that there is the overlapping of the other areas, surrounding areas of the cerebrum. Okay, so this insula, it is also called as the central lobe, or it is also called as the island of Rey. In the depth of the stem of the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus, there is a part of the cerebral hemisphere called as the insula. The word insula means the hidden. It is surrounded by the circular sulcus. Whatever this insular cortex, it is surrounded from the rest of all the cortex by the circular sulcus. During the development of the cerebral hemisphere, this area grows less than the surrounding areas, which therefore come to overlap it and occlude it from the surface view, and that's why it is called as insula. These surrounding areas are called as opercula. Okay, so here these are the three different parts present there. There are three different parts. This insula or the insular cortex, it is hidden. It is separated from the surrounding area by the circular sulcus, and whatever the surrounding area surrounding the insula, that these are called as the lid, the opercula. Then the frontal operculum lies between the anterior and the ascending ramus of the lateral sulcus. The frontoparietal operculum lies above the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus, and the temporal operculum lies below the sulcus. The temporal operculum has the superior surface hidden in the depth of the lateral sulcus. On the surface are located two gyri called as anterior and posterior transverse temporal gyri. The anterior transverse temporal gyrus is also called as the Herschel's gyrus. Okay, I repeat here, what are the structures seen here? The opercula, forming the lead portion surrounding the insula. These are three types: the frontal operculum, frontoparietal operculum and temporal operculum. The frontal operculum formed by the frontal lobe of the cerebrum. Frontoparietal operculum formed partly by the frontal lobe and partly by the temporal lobe. The temporal operculum, it is the largest one. It is forming the floor for the insula. Its superior surface, it has the anterior and posterior temporal gyri. Its anterior temporal gyrus is called as the Herschel's gyrus. Okay. The anterior inferior part of the insula, it is called as lamen insulae, which is continuous with the anterior perforated substance. The insula is divided into two regions, the anterior and posterior central sulcus. The anterior region presents 3 or 4 short gyri called as gyri brevia, and posterior region presents 1 or 2 long gyri called as gyri longa. Okay, so we will see all this in the picture, then it will be clear. Okay, so here this portion present here, that is called as insula. Insula is hidden portion, and it is surrounded by the different parts of the cerebrum that we have seen here. Okay, so this is the insula. The surrounding portion which is hiding the insula from the surface view, it is called as the opercula. The opercula, it is divided into 3 different parts. This is the insula which is surrounded from that of the rest of the part of the cerebrum, that is called as the circular sulcus. This is the circular sulcus. Then this is the frontal opercula present there, formed by the frontal lobe of the cerebrum. Here is the frontoparietal opercula. This is the frontoparietal opercula present there, which is partly formed by the frontal bone and partly formed by the parietal lobe, sorry. And this is the temporal opercula. Okay, so these are the parts which are forming the opercula, and this is the insular cortex. Insular cortex is surrounded here by the rest of the cerebrum by the circular sulcus. Frontal operculum, it is present between this anterior ramus and the ascending ramus, and behind the ascending ramus here this is the frontal operculum and the parietal operculum adjoining to form the frontoparietal operculum. This is the temporal operculum. Now this portion present here, this part present here, this insula, it is extending here onto the inferior surface. Okay, it is extending onto the inferior surface. Here this the stem of the lateral sulcus, this is the lateral sulcus. So here the stem of the lateral sulcus, it comes here, it's starting here from this lateral part of the anterior perforated substance. So this and beginning of this insula present there, that is called as lamen insulae. Okay, so this portion present here, that is called as the Lyman insulae. So we have seen here the three different parts. What are they? The insula, the floor of the insula present there. What are the cerci and gyri seen on the insula? Then here the operculum, the parts forming the opercula, and this is the part which is seen on the inferior surface lateral to this anterior perforated substance. It is called as Lyman insulae. This portion, it is called as the Lyman insulae. Okay, now we'll discuss about the sulci and gyri seen on the insula. So this is the central sulcus present there. This is the central sulcus on the insula. See that, don't confuse here with the main central sulcus seen on the superolateral surface. Okay, so here this is the central sulcus. It divides the insula into the anterior part and the posterior part. Then this anterior part, it shows 2 to 3 short gyri here. 1, 2, 3. These short gyri, these are called as gyri brevia. And here the posterior part, it shows the 1 to 2 long gyri called as gyri longa. Okay, so only this much about the insula. Okay, so we have seen here the sulci and gyri seen on the superolateral surface of the cerebrum. Okay, so here this is the central sulcus. This is the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. This is the frontal lobe. On the frontal lobe, the first sulcus seen here, anterior to the central sulcus, that is the precentral sulcus. The gyri in between these two, this is the precentral gyrus. Anterior to the central sulcus, horizontally running sulci. This is the superior and the inferior frontal sulci are there. This is the superior frontal gyrus. This is middle frontal gyrus. This is inferior frontal gyrus. Inferior frontal gyrus is again divided by this short sulci present there. This is the anterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. This is the ascending ramus of the lateral sulcus. This area present here anterior to the anterior ramus of the lateral sulcus called as pars orbitalis. This area is called as pars triangularis. This is the small area called as pars opercularis. Okay. Now we'll discuss about the parietal lobe. On the parietal lobe here, this is the post-central sulcus. This is the post-central gyrus. This is the intraparietal sulcus dividing the rest of the parietal lobe into the superior parietal lobule, and this is inferior parietal lobule. Okay. Now the temporal lobe present there. The temporal lobe, it shows this superior and inferior temporal sulci. Superior and inferior temporal sulci. The posterior end, there are the superior, middle and the inferior temporal gyri present there. Now this is the supramarginal gyrus capping around the posterior end of the lateral sulcus. This is the angular gyrus capping around the posterior end of the superior temporal sulcus. This is the arcus temporo-occipitalis capping around the posterior end of the inferior temporal sulcus. Now we'll discuss about the occipital lobe. On the occipital lobe, the sulcus seen here, that is the lateral occipital sulcus. The lateral occipital sulcus divides the occipital lobe into the superior occipital lobule and inferior occipital lobule. Then there is the C-shaped lunate sulcus. This is the gyrus descendens in front of it. This is the transverse occipital sulcus. This is the upper end of the parieto-occipital sulcus, which is surrounded by the arcus parieto-occipitalis. Okay, thank you.